What's up, guys? Welcome back to episode number 33 of Mentally Gone Conversations. My name is Callie Lacerda, and this is the version of the podcast where I sit down with locally sourced creatives and locally sourced human beings and people who I find interesting, people who I find dope. And today's no different because today sitting across from me is...
I'm Gabriel Correa. Yo, what's
Gabriel Korean. He's Korean Gabriel. So there are multiple different forms of Gabriels out there, but he's the Korean version, right?
I'm the Brazilian version.
Brazilian, yeah.
Yeah, good to be here, bro. Thanks for having me.
So you said that when we first got into the studio, you said that you felt a little bit nervous. Do you feel any better now?
Oh, I mean, yeah, I feel a lot better now. We've been talking already for like almost an hour, I think, right?
Right. We had a mini podcast before the show even started. We just went off the rails talking about a bunch of stuff, which I'm sure we'll talk about again during this episode at some point. But yeah, man, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool having like people who I haven't met yet on the show, because I feel like something happens during the podcast where it's just different. Like it's almost as if we experienced something different together, if that makes sense. Like people bond over hardships, and like people who go through certain things, like they always establish like a stronger bond versus just like meeting each other and just talking it up or whatever. But doing a thing together where like this is your episode, it's not my episode, like this is Gabriel's episode. So we're going to talk about stuff that you want to talk about. It's going to be more about what you have to say to the world. And so I feel like it'll be fun, you know, to like kind of see like where this podcast takes us, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, also it's the first time we're meeting, so we should have a lot of stuff to talk about, because we never did. So.
And with that being said, that's the episode, guys. Thanks for listening.
Take care. Thanks for having me.
Imagine like the shortest podcast interview ever. I don't know if you've seen that guy on YouTube, but he does the shortest album reviews. It's like 10 seconds long. Literally every single review is 10 seconds.
No.
And it has like hundreds of thousands of views because he was the first one to ever do that. Because I don't know if you know about I forgot his name. I think it's Anthony Fantano, the bald guy with the glasses. He's like a music nerd.
Maybe if I see him.
He's
on TikTok?
You've probably seen him. Yeah, he's like a bald guy with glasses, but he does like these like in-depth, you know, sometimes an hour-long review of a certain album. And then this dude just comes on and then he's like, I like what Kendrick Lamar did with this one. It's like this and this and this and that. And then it just ends. And then everybody's just like watching and raving and commenting. And just, it's like the easiest job ever, I feel. I don't know.
I don't remember, but maybe I scrolled past him. I don't know.
Look, I'm going to show you a TikTok of this guy, or at YouTube. You've definitely seen this guy, right? Or no?
I think so, bro. He doesn't look too
familiar.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't think I've seen any of the videos. Yeah,
so I've seen a few of his videos, and that's just like an interesting concept, is that nowadays you can do anything as long as it's like a little bit different and you make it your own, which is what I want to segue into, by the way, is the content that you create, which I find hilarious. And we were talking about it off camera.
Appreciate that.
But I don't know how many of you guys are fans of of comedy. And we were talking about our favorite comedians and their podcasts and stuff. But what made you like get into the comedic content that you've been putting out?
I don't want to call myself a comedian, bro. First of all, I appreciate you, but
it's Gabriel Comedian. Correa is just like French for like comedian or something, right?
It's mostly like, I don't know. I think I did mostly like pranks so far. I don't know, bro. I don't know how I came up with that idea. I'm just thinking like, I want to make something happen. I see everybody doing stuff online. Like, I feel like I got something.
Right.
But I was trying something out, and some of the videos they're up on my TikTok at Gabe Correa.
Gabe Correa on TikTok, and also Gabe Correa on Instagram too, right?
Instagram, Twitter, you guys can follow me.
Do you feel that there's this like gold rush right now when it comes to content creation? It's like so many opportunities that people, just like you said, like people who realize that there's like this opportunity and there's this like tender moment that if you take advantage of it, you'll reap the benefits and the fruits, which is what I think happened to this podcast a little bit, is where like we tried to get in at the time where we felt everybody was consuming content on TikTok. You know, it was at the at the height of COVID, you know, people are
Mhm.
at home, people are consuming content all the time, people don't really leave the house anymore. And so TikTok blew up like crazy. Do you think that there's like this gold rush?
Yeah, so I almost felt like I was almost like too late. Like I feel like it's like so
Right.
saturated. There's so many people trying. Like I almost feel like sometimes there's like too much content and not enough people to watch. But it's definitely not true. You know,
It's
there's always
definitely
gonna
not.
be a lot of room for people to come in and do their own thing.
Right. And that's very true because I recently saw this like study, I think, where it was saying that people nowadays, like, they look at YouTube and they think that Mr. Beast is like the guy who's getting all the views, you know, because his videos get like hundreds of
Oh yeah,
millions, billions of views. But then they were comparing his amount of views versus the amount of people on YouTube. And he's like, even him, like, he's just like a small
less than
fraction,
1%, I bet. Like
small fraction. It's like his audience are very devoted and very loyal to him, but there's still like this huge untapped market filled with like niche content, niche channels, people talking about very specific things, people who create a whole channel off of pens, you know, like there are people like that out there, people who talk about coffee cake cups or whatever and like rate them and like measure them and like talk about them on camera. So like that's what's like fascinating about content to me, is that there's literally no end
hmm
to like potential, you
yeah,
know? And if you're going down the comedic route, I think that you're already doing it great. I think that what you've managed to like tap into, I don't know if it's true to who you are because we just met, but I like to believe it is because it comes off as organic for like a person who doesn't know you. And I just think that it's a very good profession to go down, you know?
yeah. I mean, like you asked me like what made me like think of like start doing that. I think as ever since I was little, like I always like thought about like making videos. Like
Hmm.
I thought that I could be potentially funny,
Yeah.
online. But yeah, one day I just decided like I'm over here like picking up passengers on Uber. I was like,
Right, right.
I don't have that much time, so maybe I should just try to do it right here. So I put a camera up and then I started doing like a little bit of pranks.
And how does that work after the fact? Like, do you have to get their consent, or do you have to disclose that you're filming, or like how does that work?
So I don't know how it's supposed to work, but
You're
I
just
think
like, I hope they never find
yeah,
me.
yeah. I hope they see themselves online. No,
Yeah.
I think I mean I should tell them, right? But I think there were probably a few that went up that I didn't have the balls to tell them afterwards because I'm
Right.
so like most of the time I'm so embarrassed, bro. Like I don't once this person leaves my car, like I don't want them to see me ever again.
You just speed off and just
Yeah.
fucking, yeah.
But yeah, most of the times that I posted the videos, like I told them like, hey, I was just recording it just for a prank. Is it cool to put
Yeah.
it up?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Do you see yourself like scaling it into a profession, or do you just see it as something that you're just experimenting with? Like, what's your relationship with creating videos?
Honestly, bro, like when I took off, I was like, when I first started, I was like, this is because I was posting like pretty frequently, like
Hmm.
like 2 or 3 a week. But then I started slowing down. I don't know what happened. Like I think I started like I was like busy with a lot of stuff, like work and stuff. So I slowed down a little bit, but I gotta get back on that horse.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Because I feel like, just like you said before we started recording, I think, how a lot of people, including myself, like we start this thing and we create a video that we're very proud of personally because it's ours, like it's our little baby that we just created. And then we share it with the world thinking like, oh, it's just a matter of a few more of these and I'll already
Hmm.
be famous. I'll already grow and blow up on TikTok, which is a huge misconception, by the way, is that people think that TikTok is this like easy to like blow up platform because a lot of people have done it quickly, but it's definitely not the case. Like
Yep.
it's a grind.
It's
Like
a
you have to
grind.
keep
Yeah, we
doing
were
it.
talking about it before. Like, I thought when I first started, I thought it was gonna be like boom, boom, boom. I'm gonna make
Hmm.
a few videos. Like, even if I put out 10, 20, one of them is gonna take
Right.
off, and then from that one, I'm gonna have all these followers, which was not the case. Like, it
Yeah.
never happened. Like, none of them actually like blew up like that. So I think that probably played a part in me like slowing down. I like lost a little bit of confidence, but
Right.
like we were talking about how you did your stuff, like you grinded out for a few months, right? When you
Yeah.
started out, you had like only a few hundred views until eventually like you just keep grinding, keep putting stuff out there.
Yeah.
Eventually you're going to connect to more people. And
But I think that what you're saying has truth to it, but I just think that the number might be like 100, because I feel like if you set that expectation to like 100 videos, and I think it's a rule of thumb too in one of those like self-help books, I forget which one, but they say that you should do 100 videos of like anything that you're trying to go down. So if you're trying to get into gaming, if you're trying to get into comedy, podcasting, whatever, do 100 episodes, 100 pieces of content. And then if you don't have one that sticks and that gets like some traction,
then maybe give up.
Then it's time to like reevaluate, not necessarily give up, but then like reevaluate, see what you're doing. Are you just like trying to copy someone else who does the same thing? Are you doing it exactly like they are? Then that's the reason why. It's like, why would they come to you if they already get it from this person that's already famous?
True.
So it's like, what can you offer type of thing? But I feel like once you get past those like speed bumps kind of, you know, of just feeling like unmotivated because it didn't blow up, which we've gone through, like me and my girlfriend, like we've gone through that a lot, where we've dropped the podcast for like months on end because we were putting all this effort in and trying to make it funny and trying to make it, you know, nice and whatever, and then just nothing happening.
Yeah.
You know, and it's countless hours just editing, sitting down, editing, figuring out YouTube algorithm, figuring out thumbnails, figuring out everything, you know, trying to put it all together to like create this thing. And then you're just like, fuck, like I just wasted my time.
Yeah. I also like, I'm really like self-critical, I feel like.
Me too.
So
100%.
like I'll post a video, or before anything, I'll ask my friends right before I post a video. I'll be like, yo, is this funny? And I'll ask like a rating, like give me 1 to 10. How funny is this? And my boys will usually be like, it's a 9. Or they'll be honest with me. Like, yeah, this one's not it, bro.
Yeah.
But then the thing is, it's like, it's also like I'm trying to be funny in the videos. So they're supposed to be funny. So you're watching something over and over again.
Yeah.
Like I'm editing it. And then by the time I go to post it, it's like, is this really funny? Like I'm not laughing at it. Like is it
anymore
even worth
because
it?
you've already watched
it
100 times.
It's that too. And then like once you post them up, I post them up on my page. Like I'll look back at like an old video that I seen. I'm like, but it's that like I've already seen it so many times. I'm like, I'm not always gonna laugh at it. But then I watch the video. I'm like, I kind of want to delete this. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know if you get that too.
100%. And I get that more than you'd imagine because like now people have this perception that like, oh, like I know exactly what I'm doing, even doing these like episodes with like guests and stuff and being a host and just doing a podcast. It's like a lot of pressure and just anxiety that comes from not the outside world, but a lot of times from myself, because I would like beat myself up. For example, on the last episode that I did with Ferdinand, I didn't feel like I was 100% there. It's like I felt like I was in my head a lot because it was the first episode back, you know, after a long time without having guests on. I felt like I was stuttering a lot, which I do either way. Stutter, I'll like, you know, just ramble on words and stuff. But it's just like, it's always the self-critic. It's like, there's no reason for me to feel that way. There's no reason for me to be nervous. There's no reason for you to be nervous. There's no reason for anything. Because everybody's going to die eventually, you know, like, and like, that's what I've been like meditating on actually, which sounds kind of weird, but it works, where it's like, if you think that way, it's like, everybody's going to die. You're going to die. I'm going to die. Everybody, you know, everybody who criticizes you, who you think is criticizing you, everybody's just going to be buried or cremated eventually. And then once you realize that, it's like, I'm just going to do it. Like, fuck it. I don't care anymore.
And then also like when you're about to post that video, like you're thinking like this is all about me. Everybody's paying attention to me right now. When at the end of the day, it's like, they're kind of just like, it's just a video for them. They're going to see it. They're going to laugh or not. I'm like, this was lame. But to us, it's like, oh my God, everybody's paying attention to this thing right now that I'm doing. Like it better be like super good, you know?
Yeah.
It's not the case. It's like, it's not that big of a deal to everybody else as it is to you.
And I think that that's the ego. You know, it's like our ego making us bigger than we actually are, for good or bad. And then it's that idea of like feeling like you're on stage and then everybody's trying. And also, I don't know if you feel this, but
I feel that right now, by the way.
Spotlights on you and stuff. Just freeze, if anything, just freeze. And then we'll pretend that, you know, it's buffering or whatever the fuck. But I don't know if you feel this way too, but I've never done good in school. So like growing up, I've like failed math plenty of times, physics. I was never good with numbers. The only class I was good in was philosophy, because I've always been good at just like improvising and just having these thoughts and then trying to like create chains.
You didn't have philosophy in high school?
Yeah.
In high school?
Yeah.
Like where?
In Brazil.
Oh, in Brazil. Okay.
Yeah. Brazilian high school, and I've said this like a few episodes back. It's probably been a while, but Brazilian high school is a million times
more
more
advanced.
hardcore than American ones.
100%.
We have like it's crazy, like the culture there, because everybody's trying to be a doctor. So like that's the main culture in Brazil. It's either medical school, lawyer, or engineer. So it's like these like three hardcore things that you have to study like crazy. And so everybody's just studying like crazy. Professors are just vomiting everything that they possibly can. So anyways, I don't know if you feel this, but I dropped out of college, out of community college more specifically. And then I had to kind of like force myself to figure out my life. And I feel like that adds more pressure
So much. Yeah.
to like content creating, because like then everybody looks at you like, who's this loser? Like, why don't you fucking get a job, dude? Like, go get a real job.
Yeah.
You know, go get a job that has healthcare benefits, that has scalability, that you can, you know, eventually become the manager and then the owner of that shop or of that whatever the fuck. So I feel that in the back of my head, even though now things are finally paying off, both monetarily, both like viewer wise and stuff. Like
You deserve it, bro.
Appreciate it. But it's like, it's still surreal though. But like my point is, it's always gonna be there though. It's like now you have to prove to yourself, to your parents, to your friends. Because I have friends who just graduated from like medical school that I went to school with. So they went down that path and they focused, and now they're gonna make a shit ton of money like being doctors and shit. But then I compare myself to them a lot. I'm like, but like, am I gonna ever amount to anything? Who knows?
But at the end of the day, it's like, it's not always just about the money either, right?
It's not.
Like, and plus, like, their profession, like, they can only make so much money. I feel like, you know, as a doctor, a lawyer, you're never gonna make like $1 million a year unless you like own your own practice and like you're really
like a
busy.
plastic surgeon.
Yeah, or like something like that. But with like what you're doing now, I feel like you can reach the stars, bro.
Scale
like,
it.
There's no limit.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that really appeals to me about this, is that like this could become like a passive thing too. So if you have like a few pieces of content that go viral, they'll continue going viral in perpetuity in the background. So it's almost like this like passive income also. So it's a very stable business, which is what I think a lot of people also misinterpret and have this like misconceived perception of it, is that like, oh, like content creators have to always have hits, but as you do it and as you create this catalog and this brand of like Gabe, and then people will just go back to your older videos and that'll generate clicks, and then you'll get paid, you know, like through YouTube or through TikTok or whatever. So
yeah, I was gonna ask, like, because I really like, I like put up a few of those videos, but like I don't know how, like I never made any money from it, or not even close to anything like that. So I'm wondering like what's the best to start out? Like, let's say nobody knows who you are, in terms of like, because I hear like TikTok is good to like generate like traffic so that like your people can like see your face and see your videos, but I heard it's not, maybe I'm wrong, it's not so good for money, right?
Nope.
I hear YouTube's the best for money. Is that right?
YouTube is the spot to do it. Yeah, which is what we're trying to do now, is slowly but surely transition and just pour more of our eggs into the YouTube basket. Sorry. It's just like coffee burps all the time.
We could cut that out.
Yeah. Just like freeze. But YouTube is the best one because it's more stable and they actually pay you what you're worth, if that makes sense. Like my video that did 30 something million views on TikTok, I think I made like a little over $1,000.
Wow, that's
for 30 something
that's not
million.
Wow.
You would expect at least like 10K or maybe like 25K or something like that.
Wait, is it like a minute video?
It was a little longer actually. It was like maybe 2-minute video or like something like that. But then YouTube, if you do the same numbers, like 33 million
same
views,
length video?
Yeah, like same length video, maybe you'll make 25K, 50K.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So it's like, it's completely different game, but it's also harder to grow. So like we've grown Instagram and TikTok pretty well, Spotify pretty well, and then now we're trying to do YouTube, but we're stuck at like 13K subs. So it's like, it's a slower grind. So like that'll take like a few years to
do you make money per subscriber too, or
no? So the way YouTube works is that you make money off of the conjoined amount of views that your channel gets. So it's per views per channel. So if you have like one video that's constantly viral and always generating clicks, then that one will be the heavy hitter for your monthly revenue. And then the more videos you put out too, which people don't really understand, but like that's the beauty of YouTube, is that if you put out like 100 videos that get 10 views each, that's 1,000 views for your channel. So 1,000 views could already generate a few bucks. So the more content you put out and the more views you get per content, the more it adds up, and then per month you get paid that amount.
So you just want to be putting up as much content as possible, as frequently as possible.
As many videos, quality videos preferably, which is what adds to the whole stress of like, you know, like dedicating all that time, because it takes a lot of time to like export it and then upload it and then come up with a thumbnail that people will click on. You also have to play the whole search engine optimization, the SEO game, which is basically putting keywords so that when people search you up, like you'll pop up at the top.
Right.
And so like that's a whole game, and then you have to like figure that out. And so it's like, it's a lot of being self-taught, but also learning everything on YouTube. Like you can learn everything you want to any part of your life on YouTube, which is beautiful.
Yeah, bro, it's amazing. Like literally anything you need. Like I used it the other day. I was trying to figure out how to put my daughter's like car seat.
Yeah.
And it was already like put together and it wasn't supposed to, so I had to take it apart. Didn't know how to take it apart. I'm like flipping that thing and then I see it like 8-second video.
YouTube.
Click a button.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, okay.
And that's for everything. Like
we
use it for everything. It's nuts.
Speaking of your daughter, how does it feel being a dad?
Feels great, bro. It's crazy. Like I don't know how to explain it. It just feels really good. Like you always have that like you always have her in the back of my mind, like you know, going through my day, and then I'm always thinking like I can't wait to get back home and see her. She's only a week old, so I'm still getting used to being a dad. It's like almost like I don't completely feel like a dad yet because it's like so new, but the love is crazy. Like it's something I never experienced before. Definitely the best experience of my life when she was born. Crazy.
I can only imagine. And first of all, I just want to say this on air, and I don't think I said it in person, but congratulations, because it's a huge deal. I can't even begin to imagine. I
plan on having kids?
I do plan on having kids, but at the same time, I'm like just kind of like scared and just frightened, because it's such like a delicate thing, you know, that you're bringing into the world, and then you have to like do everything you can to like maybe not try to protect it from the world, but try to, you know, like grow it in this crazy world that we live in. But I do want to have kids for sure.
Yeah, I recommend, but don't do it like me.
It. Yeah.
Like we, you know, obviously she wasn't like we didn't plan it. So it was like a surprise to us, but you know, it was a good surprise.
Yeah, for sure. Do you think that you'll like use her as like a motivation to like run after your dreams even more in life?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I feel like now the pressure is on, you feel me?
Right.
So now I'm like, I got to do whatever it takes. Like before I was just kind of like going with the flow. Like I'll get by, you know, I just got to make rent here. But now it's like, now I got to provide. Yeah. And for my girl, we plan on marrying her obviously too. Like it was just like, it was nothing on schedule. But now it's like everything completely flipped. Like now the pressure's on. I gotta get after this money. Like, gotta look for like a career path. It's like it's a lot, but it's good. Like I like that it's like the pressure's on now, because now it's like a wake up call, you know.
And I feel like a lot of people need that too, because
I definitely needed it. Yeah.
Right. And
I was too comfortable.
A lot of people are too comfortable, and whether they get that pressure and that, you know, like that fire under their ass through maybe like getting depressed or maybe losing a loved one or having a child. So like it's always that thing that a lot of the great people of this world, like they've all gone through that, where it's like all of a sudden it's like there's an extra mouth to feed, and now you have to like pursue, like there's no excuses.
There was actually a conversation I had with my girl. I was like, babe, like it was like through COVID, I feel like everything was just like slow down, like nothing's going on.
Everything stopped.
And I'm just like, sometimes I almost feel like something needs to happen for me to like wake up.
Right.
And in my head, it used to be like, you know, hopefully it's not like a tragedy or anything, but I don't, obviously not asking for a tragedy to happen to me. But like you said, sometimes like something like that happens and it triggers that. And thankfully for me, it was a blessing.
It was a good thing.
Yeah.
Because I feel like especially through COVID, I don't know if you've dealt with a lot of deaths, but I've had to like go through a lot of deaths of like friends and like close relatives and stuff. And just like receiving that news that that person died of COVID and that that person just died of complications of breathing and like all that stuff, that was like a huge wake up call for me. It was like, holy shit, you know, like, and that's when it kind of started. I think it was at the height of COVID where I just began meditating on this idea of death, you know, and just always thinking about it, but like not in like a weird suicidal way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can relate to that.
But in a way of like urgency, you know, it should motivate you. It's just this idea of like we don't know what's gonna happen an hour from now.
Mm-hmm.
Like God forbid, but like we don't know what's gonna happen. Nobody knows anything. We always also live life in this way where it's like we expect to be 80 years old someday. And a lot of people live that way. And so they live comfortably thinking like, oh, like I still have a lot of time. I'm still in my early 20s. I'm still in my mid 20s. I'm still in my early 30s, 40s, 50s. And so I have a lot of time left. I have this and that. But then it just hits you like things just could, you know, just derail and go off track.
Yeah. You said you were like thinking a lot about death and stuff, but are you like, what's your relationship with that? Like, are you scared of death? Are you more comfortable with it now? Like,
I'm not scared of death, honestly.
Yeah.
I feel like, and this is fucked up to say, but I was talking to my girlfriend about this, but I feel like if I were to go or if I received news that I had like a finite amount of time, I would probably go gracefully. Like just accept it.
So you've made pretty much peace with it. Yeah.
Because I think that there's no point in fearing it, you know? And one of my favorite quotes, it's a Latin term, I think it's Latin, but it's memento mori, which is remember that you too shall die. And like a lot of ancient philosophers, they would always recite that phrase and just always remind themselves, because like that's the root of existence. It's like the irony of life is that the inevitable, the one inevitable thing that we all share is just death. So it doesn't matter. The one thing that kind of gives me a lot of anxiety is the idea of like whether or not there's an afterlife. So I'll like start thinking about that, and then I'm like kind of like having like a mini panic attack thinking about what if everything's just black and then I just don't exist. Because if you think about it, that's what happens before you were born. You were technically dead. So there was nothing before you were born. And so
that makes no sense.
Who's to say that there's going to be anything after you die?
Yeah.
But hopefully there is. Hopefully spirit, like the spiritual world, heaven is real. Hopefully.
If you had to bet, you would say there's something or nothing.
That's a good question. I like to believe that there is something, because I like to believe that I'm very in tune spiritually, and I'm not going to say that I communicate with like spirits and shit, because I don't, but I like to feel, there's like 3 around here right now.
Like
there's
a weird energy when you say that.
There's one sitting over there behind you. I see them all the time, talk to them. But I do like to feel that there's like something more. It's like a spiritual thing, you know? So I do think that there's something after.
I find it really, really, like, that's one thing that I think about a lot. I think it's very hard for this to just be it, like just this right here.
Right.
Just your life, and then you die, and then it's just pitch black. And then I think like we transcend, man. I think it's like, we're just here. Like we're here with our bodies, but I think our consciousness lives on to, I don't have no idea where or what, but I'm sure it's not just this right here.
Right, because if you think about how the universe is infinite and like nature, right? So and people say that we humans are just the universe experiencing itself in the human form. And so if that's the case, then we just go back to the universe, essentially. But I feel like even before we were born, I feel like we do have recollections of maybe like a past life and stuff. And maybe that's why people have a lot of deja vus, and like people experience these like moments where they like remember something or feel like they've gone through something.
You get a lot of those?
I get a lot of those.
I get a lot of those too.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck is that, bro?
And I can
Some
never
people think
explain
it's
it.
like dreams like that they've had. Sometimes it feels like that to me. Sometimes it actually feels like, hold on, I've been through this. Like this exact moment, this happened already. Sometimes you can almost like predict like what's about to happen next, right?
Right, yeah.
That's nuts to me. It happens to me all the time, but I don't know where that comes from.
Yeah, I don't know where it comes from, but I do like to believe that like everything's infinite, just like you said, and then maybe we just go back to the universe, and maybe we reincarnate, we just become this cyclical nature, you know, like and then we, because one thing that fascinated me recently, I was reading this article that talked about near death experiences and like people who almost experience death and then they come back from it. So they're like clinically declared dead for like a few seconds and then they come back. And they all share this story that has this like common denominator, which is that this entity, this being, some call it Jesus, some call it a Hindu goddess, some call it a being of light, depending on what their background is culturally and what the religion is that they grew up with around. Like that's usually what they gravitate towards. But it's always this being that communicates with them during those little seconds and tells them that the meaning of life is, as corny as it is to say, is to learn to love all things unconditionally.
That sounds so cliche, but so true.
So cliche and simple, right? Like it's such a simple thing. It's like, oh, like love thy neighbor. It's like we've like heard it countless times. Our parents tell us all the time. But if you think about that, like that's exactly the only purpose I can take out of this world, of this experience, has to revolve around like the social aspects of it. So like communicating with other people. I don't think any of it is like like getting a house on the hills and like buying a Ferrari.
Of course not. Yeah.
Like those are like all man-made constructs that we convince ourselves. But I think it's something spiritual like that. It's like connecting with two people, which is one of the reasons, ironically, why I like doing this podcast with guests. It's because like something happens at this table that after an hour, 2 hours or whatever, it's just like something happened. It's like, it's just communicating. It's just like free flow of consciousness. It's like connecting, like something's connecting right now, as crazy and hippie as that sounds. But
yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I don't know. Do you believe in God?
I believe in God, yeah. I find it really hard to believe that we're just like here as like a mistake. That's the thing. Like, like, dude, we have like functioning organs. Like
everything's perfect too.
Like I just had my little daughter and I'm thinking about her. Like she has like, she came out of my girl. Like we just created life.
Right.
Like she wasn't here and now she's here. Like how can, that's like it's literally a miracle, right? Like, like we don't know how we did it, but you know what I'm saying? Like it just happened. So it's like, there's gotta be a creator for sure. Now, I don't know if God is like God according to the Bible but it's definitely a higher power that created us for sure. Like we couldn't have just been a mistake. Like that doesn't make any sense to me at all.
That's probably the thing that would trip me out the most, or that will trip me out the most when I do have kids of my own. But it's the idea of like creating a conscious being. It's like you just created consciousness. You and your girl, obviously, because it takes two to tangle, but you and your girl created this being that now has a consciousness that will go through life. And it's just wild to me. Like, just like you said, like it can't be a mistake, you know? And then if you think about how everything functions in our body without us even having to worry about it.
That's what I'm saying.
It's like everything's like perfectly running. Your heart does its own thing. Your brain does its own thing. A lot of our bodies is like perfectly symmetrical, you know, like everything's like a perfect proportion or whatever you call it in math. Again, I suck at math, but it's just, I don't know. But I don't think any religion got it right though. And like that's what I think, kind of, you know. It's like I don't think any of them got it 100% right. Maybe one got close to it, but I don't know if any of them got it right.
Did you grow up like with your family have like a certain religion? What is it, Christian?
My whole family is hyper. I honestly don't know what the difference between Christianity and Catholicism is. Like, do you know what the difference is? I just always get them mixed up.
I think, as far as I know, the only difference is like Christians don't worship like they both follow like saints. They both follow God and Jesus. But that's the thing. Like I grew up Christian, right? So it's like everything in the Bible it's a lot of like knowledge that like if you read the Bible and you live your life by what the Bible is saying, you're gonna 100% live a great prosperous life. Right. You know what I'm saying? So it's like whoever wrote it, even if you don't think it's God, if it was like God or whatever, they had some like crazy amount of knowledge.
Yeah, that they had to get it from somewhere.
Yeah, but the only thing that like holds me back from that is that like it's like a book that's written like thousands of years ago. Right. And you know, it's been passed down and translated. Yeah. And you know,
pages have been ripped out.
Exactly. Because that's the thing. I think the Catholic Bible and the Christian Bible is also different. I think I think everything in the Christian Bible is in the Catholic Bible, but I think it's no, I'm not sure about that. I think it's everything that's in the Christian Bible is in the Catholic Bible, but the Catholic Bible has more books.
Okay. Yeah.
Or is it
because
the
it
opposite?
has like more saints probably.
Yeah.
and
No,
so
I
it
think
makes
that's,
sense.
I said that right.
Yeah. So my family is Catholic then because they celebrate. They do a yearly large party that celebrates the three saints. Fuck, I forgot the name. The three kings that took presents to Jesus or whatever. You know what I'm trying to say? It's the three kings that followed the stars and then they went towards Jesus, and then Jesus was an infant, and then they like gave him presents and stuff. So like they create this party and this huge gathering where they celebrate these three kings. And so I'm guessing that they're Catholic because like these three kings are considered like saints, I guess. But I also went to a Catholic school in Brazil. And so we were taught to always pray every morning, always like worship the saint that was responsible for founding that specific school. So it's always been like this hyper religious background, which ironically resulted in me being agnostic, which is not subscribing to any religion, but at the same time believing that there's a higher power.
Yeah, I think I'm somewhere like around there too. I like I said, I grew up Christian, so like, dude, like when something's going wrong, like I pray to God and I pray to Jesus,
Right.
because I think that like that's who I grew up with. But I still have like my questions. There's like a lot of things in the Bible that like don't seem to make a lot of sense to me, like the whole concept of like, because we're born with free will, right? But the Bible says if you die in sin, you go to hell. First of all, it says you go to hell and you burn in hell for eternity.
Yeah,
that
that's
right
kind of
there,
harsh right there, dude.
How does that, like, how can you burn in hell for eternity? I can't wrap my head around that.
Give me one more chance,
Yeah.
Like,
so it seems like something too harsh for like somebody who created you in the first place to do. So I don't necessarily subscribe to that idea. I don't know if it was like, maybe it was like misinterpreting translation or whatever, or I don't know.
The main thing for me too is exactly what you said about how this book has been passed down through generations and through like different iterations of society, of governments, of kings, of tyrants. And so who's to say that every other king would get the Bible, tell them like, no, fuck that shit, rip it out, rewrite it, say that they'll burn in hell for eternity, and sell it to the public.
Pretty nice way to keep like people under control.
Keep the power, So I think that the best way to control humans, especially because we all fear the unknown and we don't know necessarily what's out there, what's after death, and if anything's watching us all the time. So the best way to control them is by creating this force and selling them this idea that there's this omnipresent, everlasting force that is good, but if you're a bad boy or a bad girl, then you're gonna get reprimanded. And so like you're always paranoid and living this life, and that makes humans a more morally accurate, like not morally accurate, but more morally in line.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't kill my mom and dad because God's watching, so I'll just put the knife down, So it's like that type of vibe, I feel.
And you say that to a kid, like, like, hey, you better like God, first of all, God's watching you at all times, so they know what you're doing, so you better do right. And hey, if you die in sin, you're gonna go to hell, so you better make sure you don't do any of those sins, and if you do, you ask for forgiveness. So it's a good way to like, you scare people, kind of scare people into following the religion, I feel like. But like I said, I don't not subscribe to Christianity. I actually like I said, when I'm in like going through it, like, man, like there's nothing else, like there's nothing you can do. You feel hopeless. Like I pray, that's who I pray to. I pray to Jesus.
And I think I've done that too, but I feel like I just don't address it by the name. But I feel like all of these beings and these names are all like used to represent the same energy type of thing. So I don't want to go like too hippie or whatever, but I believe in energy a lot. So like you can sense vibes and stuff, right? Like a lot of people have gut feelings, intuition. It's like, when someone's off, and when you don't fuck with someone that you just meet and you're like, I don't know, like there's something about that guy. I didn't really like
real,
it. So it's like, it's energy. It's like we feed off energy. And so I feel like there's this like huge energy that's responsible for maybe everything that we see right now, and that created everything. And so by creating everything, it's in everything that we see. It's in all of us and stuff. And so that's why I don't know, but I feel like I've like prayed and like asked for help and stuff in like my lowest moments and darkest moments, but I feel like I communicate with that energy. And I don't always get like,
you don't necessarily have like a name for it or who you're praying to, but you're
Yeah.
just like, it's just like faith, I guess, right?
yeah, exactly, faith. And then but I just always know that it's real.
Yeah.
So I never doubt that it's real. So
Like you,
I have
you feel like there's something there that's listening.
yeah, always. And then sometimes I'll feel or I'll see certain things that happen like right after maybe that are too coincidental to be chalked up to like chance, you know? But then I'm like, oh, so this is the response and this is the answer, you know? Like sometimes it's a sign that I see while driving. It's like a fucking thing I see on YouTube. It's in like, who knows, but you always catch it because I feel like that's when it activates the part in you that's like directly connected to it that allows you to see it, if that makes sense. I don't know, but that's my thoughts on like God. You said that we're born with free will, right? Do you believe in that 100%?
I think I do. You don't?
Because I've been thinking a lot recently.
You think we're like kind of predestined to
No.
be a certain...
Maybe we're like destined, but I feel like we're in complete control of our destiny. But I feel like it's just weird to me how we are born into this world and then we have to kind of like pay our way to like pay to live on this planet, if that makes sense. So everything's already architected and everything's already preordained in a way where you're born and then you have your parents who are going to provide for you, who are going to pay for the rent over your head, for food on the table,
raise you a certain way
until you become of age where you have to now like, hey, like you have to pick up the slack and you have to get a job and you have to start paying for your own way through life. And then you repeat that cycle by that kid having his or her kid. And so like to me, it's just this weird idea that you have to pay to be on this planet. So I don't think our ancestors ever had to worry about that. Like our like primitive caveman people, you know, like they just worried about surviving. It's just like hunting for the food and stuff, but it was never this thing where you had to pay in order to live. And so that's the only part that like really like hits me every now and then I just find myself like losing myself in that thought process, you know. It's just weird. It's like taxes and paying rent. Like, why should we have to pay to like survive on this planet?
Yeah. But do you feel like you ultimately like you're in, like, do you think you can alter your future by the decisions you make right now? Or you think like no matter what, like you're supposed to end up here by the time you're, you know?
I absolutely think that everybody's in control. So like you can flip a switch today and then turn around and just tell me like, hey, I'm going to start my own car company. I'm going to start building a car because I just decided that that's what I want to do. I'm going to spend the next year learning on YouTube, reading up, understanding, studying engineering, putting together a team, and I'm going to create a rival to rival Tesla. Like you could tell me that and do that and like try to do it. So like the fact that you can do that, then yeah, like we all have free will, you know? And then I could turn to you and say like, oh, I'm going to set out this plan where I'm going to reach 1 million on YouTube by the end of this year. And then I'll just put the work in and just do everything and just make the strategy and stuff and then make it happen. Or I could turn to you and say, hey, this is the last guest podcast. I'm going to give up on this because I don't like it anymore. And then I'm going to go get a job at Taco Bell.
Yeah. I guess it's either like that or you believe in that free will or in like whatever is meant to be will be.
See, but then that's where it gets interesting to me because I feel like people, so there's this constant debate, right? Is it nature or nurture? So I think that it's somewhere in between where, for example, some people are born with the predisposition to like go after it. And then some people are just more relaxed. And then those people maybe gravitate towards that lifestyle of like, I'll just work at Home Depot because I don't give a fuck. And then as long as I get to go home, smoke a little, you know, joint or whatever, play some FIFA, play some whatever. And then like, as long as I get to do that every single day, then I'll be chilling, because like that person doesn't have that much ambition.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like when you factor in like human beings, like I consider myself a very ambitious person. Like I can't stay still. Like I have to always like do stuff. And that comes at a cost too, because like my own girlfriend has like complained about it, and she said like, hey, like
You're doing too much.
yeah, like we should spend more time together. We should just relax. Like I'm just always thinking about work. I'm always thinking about like recording and like editing and like, so I feel like that comes out of fault. But at the same time, I feel like that adds to my ability to define my own future.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
And
you live better like that too if you're always like having something to go after.
Yeah.
Versus just like living day by day. You know what I'm saying?
And that's why I feel like the ultra like wealthy people, rich people, a lot of them are depressed because of that.
They made it.
Yeah, they
like, what now?
Reach the top of the totem pole. They're in the big house, but it's empty. They're in the fast car, but they don't have to be anywhere. So it's that idea of like just basically floating through life, and that's something that I'll never want for myself.
And it goes back to that, like the meaning of life. If the meaning of life was for you to just like prosper in life and like make a career out of yourself and then make all this money, then why is it that like the richest people, most powerful people in the world are the ones that are like, probably like the most depressed, like,
and empty.
Yeah, and empty inside. Exactly.
Yeah. Speaking of that, do you have any big life aspirations? Like what's your biggest life aspiration if you had to? And it's okay if you don't have one right now, but like,
yeah,
do you have like a direction at least that you think you would?
I pray for that, bro. Like that's the thing. Like I want some sort of direction because I'm confused as to like what I want to do for the rest of my life. Right. I'm still young, I feel like, but I feel like at the same time, like the time's running out.
Yeah.
And now I have like all these responsibilities. So I actually don't know, bro, but I know that I don't want to. You're talking about like career wise, or are you saying like, well, family wise, I definitely want to like build a family and have like a bunch of kids. I still want a lot more,
How many kids do you want?
Bro, if I can afford to, I'd have like if my girl's willing. Well, she says like probably like 3 max 4, but if it were up to me, I would 8, 9.
8, 9.
I think it's beautiful, bro, having like a big family.
Yeah.
Make some fun holidays. But in terms of like career, I don't know, bro. I just know that I don't want to be working like a 9-to-5 job. Like I want to feel like I'm not just working for money. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But exactly what it is, I don't know. Like now there's like so many opportunities online and stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Have you ever had anything like as a kid? Did you ever have those like big dreams?
Oh,
of, like,
that was to become a soccer player. I think that's like half of like every Brazilian kid.
And you wanted to play for
Botafogo.
Botafogo, yeah.
That's my Brazilian team. Of course, yeah. That's like every child, every Brazilian kid's dream to make it pro, right?
Me too, yeah.
But that was like it was like always like just actually like a dream. I never like made it like a goal. Like I'm gonna make it pro. I never like put in the work, which I should have.
Like a step by step.
Yeah,
plan,
like I never played like club or anything, but should have. I regret it now.
Yeah. I think that's super common too, right? Is that like every kid wants to either be an athlete, an astronaut, a firefighter, or like something like that. But it usually like revolves around the whole idea of like helping other people too, and like being close to other people and just being very social. So like a lot of people who tend to like grow up in strong friend groups tend to gravitate towards soccer, which was both of our cases, I'm assuming, right? And then kids who just want to help other people and want to be liked and just accepted usually go down the route of like firefighter, police officer, and they just want to like fall into that little pocket. But I completely agree with the whole like 9 to 5. I've always been very anti-authority. So I just hate when anybody tells me what to do, and whenever like anybody's breathing over my shoulder while I'm working, or that person has the power to like fire me and to fucking dictate my life and shit. Like I hate that.
It's really depressing, bro. Like like
sure.
Worked previous jobs where it's like somebody yelling at you. Sometimes like the person could even be younger than you, or somebody who you think is like less competent than you, who's just been there longer, and they're like, oh, you're supposed to do this thing, like you're supposed to talk to this person like this. Like, you know, when you feel like you do it better than they, and then they
Right,
get to
right.
tell you what to do, and you just have to like shut up about it. That like takes its toll on you. Like if people
It
who
does.
like keep those jobs for like years, especially like back in the day, like
Yeah.
I feel like people like got like a factory job or something and just stuck to it for like 30, 40 years,
Yeah.
just like wasting away, bro. I don't think that's the way. Not for me anyway. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Like
Yeah,
if you're,
yeah.
you know, if that's your thing, you're just working to get home, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I feel like for me, I have to be working not just for the money, but like I have to have some kind of like investment in it for like, you know, I have to, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. And I feel like 9 to 5s are meant to be just like a chapter in everybody's book, you know? So like a lot of people make 9 to 5s their whole book, but it should just be like a chapter that serves as like a stepping stone. So like while you're hustling and like working 9 to 5, you're also experimenting with other things and like trying to establish like long-term big picture goals, you know? Because like that's the only thing that will buy you your freedom eventually. And I feel like the most valuable thing to me, at least, is just freedom. Is just the ability to be your own boss, establish your own hours, be the entrepreneur, which has been overused nowadays because of people like Gary Vee and like all these like, you know, like gurus on the internet, on Instagram. But I feel like there's some truth to that, because also I feel like that there's this like broad conspiracy that the government does everything they can to kind of kill your spirit.
Do you believe in that?
Yeah, I do believe.
I believe in that as well.
Because it starts, to me, it starts in school, you know, because I don't know how many people know this, and I don't know if you know this, but schools were initially designed after factories. So it's like
by the Rockefellers, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think it was, yeah, because like they were the industry titans at the time. And so in order for you to produce more workers, the kids and the children of the current workers at the factory would go through schools, and which were used as like conditioning and programming and priming institutions and places where they would produce out of these schools future workers for the factories.
Oh yeah.
So it became like that perpetual cycle of just, you know, conditioning, priming, boom. Like, yeah, like let them have sex, let them procreate, give them the illusion of freedom, and then just fall right back into my little net, you know? So like, and if you think about it, it's pretty mind blowing how it hasn't changed since then. The structure of like lines and just desks. Like I think schools, first of all, should be in circles maybe. It should be like very unorthodox. It should be like different dynamics completely. It should be like reinvented and reimagined, but it's still the same shit.
There needs to be some kind of like for kids, bro. Like how can you need to get kids interested for them to learn. But they're not really interested in like how do you say, like raise smart capable people. They just want to like kind of raise you like you're smart enough to like do whatever it is, like the paperwork to keep like the country running, but not so much that you want to like do your own thing. Think about it, bro. Like what do they teach in school that you take with you?
Nothing.
You don't, nothing, bro. Like I obviously aside from like basic math and like reading and writing, but like, you know, you learn about a bunch of useless like stupid formulas and like stupid stones, like you know what I'm saying? Like you're never like you don't learn how to like how to take out a mortgage or like how to like
build
deal
credit.
with finances. Credit. Like there's so much stuff that they should be teaching, but they don't. And it's not. I don't think it's a mistake. Because
schools aren't designed to empower kids and to develop well equipped and just well you know, like formed people. It's to just create obedience, I think.
Yeah,
and that's why you have like deadlines and you have homeworks and you have tests, and then you're graded and your value is often correlated and equals the grade that you get. So if you get an F, then you as a kid, like that's super traumatizing. It's like, fuck, like I'm a failure already. So it's like teaching you to accept your place in society.
Very true.
And to accept that there's like an authority figure that's going to dictate your place in society among the ranks of other people your age who look like you, who talk like you, so it's this like fucked up psychological thing where instead of like not having grades at all and just basically, you know, like rewarding kids based off of their own drive and their own ambitions and their own personalities, which would create a society filled with people who have flourishing personalities, who are just unique, and maybe society would just advance 10 times over. but you create these like black and white fucking
I would only disagree
squares.
with the grading part. Like I feel like it's important, like the competition thing.
It
Like
is
I think it's
Yeah,
important
true,
for you
true.
to like you see a task and like know whether like you can like accomplish this or not. So like I
True.
think the grading is important, but I think there's other ways to like different types of ways to test kids. Like they just test kids on like one thing, which is like they don't test like creativity or like there's different ways to teach kids that like they would be more interested in, and you can't teach somebody something that they're not interested in. It's very hard.
And it's hard for you to hire teachers who are passionate about teaching because they make so little. So it's like, how do you, so it becomes, I think, where like athletes make 100 times more than a teacher does, you know? And the teachers are responsible for creating the next future and the future generation of doctors, lawyers.
Probably one of the most important jobs out there. Like they're
I
raising
think so.
the next generation.
I think so. And I think it's one of those professions that I just have nothing but massive respect towards, but I would never want to like take on that responsibility just because there's no like real growth in that space, you know, unless you're like a Harvard professor but then by then too, like you're already at the top apex, you know?
Yeah. I think a lot of people go into the profession for like the wrong reasons too. Like they want to take like 3 months vacay and
true.
Get like good benefits and like just cruise by, get weekends off, holidays off.
And
that's probably a big thing too.
And they also like the power that comes with it. It's like being able to just hold this power over other human beings, which is what I think police officers, no shade to I'm not saying every single police officer does this, but a lot of them love the power. So they're power hungry.
Yeah, like those certain personalities are the ones that like tend to gravitate to those professions, like want to feel like they have some kind of authority over you. I agree with that.
Because maybe they got bullied in school.
Oh yeah. And
then now they're just overcompensating, projecting, and I don't know.
No shade though.
No shade. We respect the police force.
A lot of cool
obviously.
cops, good cops out there. A lot of good teachers out there.
My uncle's a cop, or he used to be a cop. I haven't spoken to him in like years, but he used to be a cop in Newark. I don't know if you've ever seen him, Mike.
I've heard. I think I've seen him.
Big Mike.
Yeah.
He's
cool guy. He's a funny guy, right?
Yeah. Funny guy. He's the father of my cousin Brian, who is also going to come on the podcast soon. But yeah, so what, like, how do you envision yourself now? Obviously you're still like everything's new to you, like being like a new father and stuff, but how do you envision yourself like raising your child? It's like, do you worry about baggage of like personal baggage that you've acquired from your parents and from your childhood? Yeah, to like just project it on them and then fuck them up.
Yeah,
because I've like thought about that a lot.
Yeah, I think me and my girl, we think about that a lot, and I think it's good that we're like real conscious about it. Like, because I think like before, like people used to be like they become parents and they're not even like thinking about like how like hit their kids and shit like that, with discipline. Not that like I get it. Sometimes they. It's not. There's nothing wrong with like a little spank here and there, as long as you're not getting abusive. Yeah, Brazilian parents. I didn't get hit so much, but here and there, I think. Oh, I just almost hit the camera. Sorry, I almost kicked it. I don't know. It's still on frame.
Yeah. It's good still. It's good. Yeah.
Where was I?
About like beating kids. And stuff.
Yeah.
I got beat a lot.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. Chinelo,
Vara,
everything. Which for the American speakers, it's just sandals and just fucking like sticks and shit. like everything would go.
Yeah.
Belts.
Whatever they could get their hands on.
Yeah.
Yeah, but my parents weren't didn't really beat me like that, but here and there, sometimes you deserve it, and it's good. Like you learn.
Yeah.
As long as it's not like abusive or anything, but like I was saying, like I think it's good at least that me and my girl, like as long as you're conscious about like, hold on, I gotta make sure I don't pass on the baggage that my parents gave me and pass that on to my kids. So I think as long as you're like thinking about that,
conscious of
not
it.
doing that, then but I mean, I'm sure there's probably some things that's going to be unavoidable. That's I'm not going to be like a perfect dad,
Yeah.
But I think we're going to be good. I think I'm going to be a good dad.
Yeah, I think that just being conscious of it, because that's something that I've spoken to my girlfriend about a lot too is just this idea of how much of our family's bullshit kind of like sticks on us, you know. So like she has a lot of stuff that comes from her family, and I have a lot of stuff that comes from my family, and I just fear like us passing that on to a child, you know, because I feel like it's obviously the parent's responsibility, but the kid is probably going to spend a lot more time in school and like around other cultures and other kids. But as long as you have like this firm foundation that is kind of like guided towards, you know, just being like a better version than who you were.
Of course,
you know?
yeah.
Like I think that's already like a huge part.
Take all the qualities that your parents gave you,
The good qualities.
the good stuff, and then try to filter out all the
bullshit.
Yeah. And I can't think of like anything in specific, but like I've noticed many things that like, hold on, I got to make sure I don't pass this on to my kids because I felt this type of way with my dad when my dad did this.
Yeah.
So I got to make sure I don't carry that on. Same thing with her. So.
Did you grow up with both parents present?
Yeah, both parents in the house, thankfully. I think that's very
lucky.
Very important thing too.
Yeah, and also very lucky, I feel, because similar to my girlfriend, she also grew up with like both her parents present, and I grew up without a dad. Mm-hmm. And so like that's something that I'm gonna be very careful to like not pass on to my kid. If I have a girl or a boy, like it doesn't really matter, but it's just like being present as a dad because like I never experienced that. Mm-hmm. And then I feel like that's also like a pivotal thing that's necessary in the like formative years. But like have you guys been like reading any like childbearing books while she was pregnant? Like did you guys ever like dive deep into learning how to raise a kid and stuff? Because I feel like I would be desperate, like buying books and shit, you know, trying to learn.
I wish I did. Like I'm not a reader. Like
okay, yeah.
I don't read books, but we were like, you know, looking at videos and stuff like
TikToks. How to raise your kid on TikTok, and there's just a bunch of videos like, first guys, just do this.
Yeah, but it's funny. Definitely good though to like seek some advice and stuff like that. Yeah. I would recommend reading books even though I'm not doing it.
yeah, because I feel like in those 9 months, like that's the only thing I would be able to occupy myself with is just like freaking out, but just out of anxiety. But I feel like it's also bad to think that way. And I feel like the way that you're approaching it, where it's just like one step at a time, I feel like it's the right way, if there is ever a right way to be a parent, because I don't know if there is, because every parent I've like encountered is fucked up in their own way, and their kids are fucked up in whatever way. But I feel like like taking it one step at a time and doing the best you can, and just like you said, like there's no way to be a perfect dad.
Yeah, but like we said, like as long as you're aware of that, like you know that you're like, hold on, I gotta make sure I'm not passing this on to my kids. I think you're in the right track for me.
And taking like a complete 180 now, because that's the nature of Mentally Gone. It's just that it's like non-linear completely. But like segueing, because we mentioned TikTok, do you believe in aliens? Because like we've talked about God, and now do you believe in aliens?
I don't not believe in aliens. I'm open to the possibility.
Okay.
Like in such a big universe, right? It would be kind of hard to think that it's just like there's only life here.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I believe in the same thing. Yeah. I think that if space is real, because a lot of our audience, maybe they believe in like flat Earth theory. Like we have like a wide gamut of people, which again, there's nothing wrong. Like everybody believes in their own thing. But
that's the thing. I don't not believe in anything. To me, everything's possible. Like, I've never seen Earth from the top. What if it is flat? What if there's a firmament?
Exactly. So like that's why I don't like ridicule any belief. I'm open to any thought experiment, and I'll only discard it once I've been able to prove it otherwise, or prove it to be the case. So just like you said, like unless I get invited by Elon Musk to go to Mars, I'm not going to believe that there's Mars. I'm not going to believe but then there's like a certain group of people who view us as like idiots. It's like, are you serious right now? Years and years of scientific knowledge or whatever. No.
You're just like taking information in from other people. Like you don't have like a lot of these graphs and stuff. Like we don't even know how to read it. We just have to take exactly. Like they could be like photoshopping all their pictures for all we know, you know?
Exactly. And
taking their word for it.
And it goes back to the whole school thing. So like, what if you're the one that's brainwashed, you know, because they taught you, it's like, oh yeah, math is like space is this and science is, and then like, maybe you're the one that's brainwashed. Maybe you're the one that's wrong. Maybe these people, who knows? And I've seen like, pictures of someone who like leaked this, facility at NASA that's like this underground, not underground, this underwater portion that has green screens in the water. So it's like a huge pool where astronauts basically simulate the effects of space or something like that. But then people were saying that they use that facility to
It sounds like they're in space.
film the space scenes. Yeah. And then film like astronauts going outside of the ship to like fix the aircraft or like do their like spacewalks or whatever. So who's to say that that's not the case? That space is happening inside of a NASA warehouse or some shit.
Yeah,
You know?
like what proof do we have? We only see what they show us. You've probably seen a bunch of videos of like bloopers of them like when they're supposedly in space and then like something like supposed to be no gravity and then something
falls.
Something just falls and then they all like there's this video. I don't know if you could like pull it up, but I think it's like 4 of them and they're just like talking to the camera. I think they were live.
I think I know exactly what you're talking about.
And then I think something falls like a balloon or something.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
What made it really crazy to me, bro, is like not even the fact that like I don't fucking understand gravity, how it works exactly. Like maybe that's something that could have happened, but their expressions, like everybody kind of just froze like, holy shit, that was not supposed to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Did you see that video? And I've seen multiple videos of those.
I think I know exactly which one you're talking about. I just don't know what to type in to like try to find it.
No, maybe you could like find it later and like.
Yeah, I'm going to try to find it and then I'll paste it on the episode. But I know exactly which one you're talking about. And then it's the guy towards like the corner, right? And then like
it's a balloon,
falls.
I think.
I think it's something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, like I don't know what to think, you know? And every person who's been to space, like when they're also kind of like pressed and like asked questions and stuff, they get nervous. I think it was Armstrong or some shit. He was approached on the street and somebody was asking a question along the lines of like, is space fake or something like that? And then he just attacked the interviewer, the TMZ reporter or some shit. And then I feel like to me, that's just being hyper defensive for what, you know, because you're hiding something. And maybe you like imagine living your whole life and it's a lie.
Yeah.
And then you have to keep up that lie. Otherwise, CIA will come for you and JFK you or some shit.
They have to sign probably all these like NDAs, whatever, right? And then you're probably like fighting with that in your head like all day long. And then some guy comes up to you is like, hey, like I know you're a fraud. And then you got to face that. And, you know what I'm saying? That
or people come up to you and say like, you're an American hero. I love you, whatever. And then that could be even worse. Yeah. It's like
my whole life's a lie.
And then you just have to smile and stuff and be like, yeah, I know I did this for us. Yeah, you know. But yeah, so I subscribe to that Shakespeare quote that says that all the world is a stage and everybody is an actor and then people put on different masks, you know? And I feel like that's what it is. It's just politicians. Like everybody's just, I don't know.
Do you believe in the moon landing and
I think Stanley Kubrick did it.
When was that?
I think that Stanley Kubrick, he's the director for The Shining. I think
I also believe that. I just didn't know the name.
He directed it inside of like a Hollywood studio or some shit. Because I feel like that's one of the reasons why he got killed. Because I don't know if you know his story, but after the Tom Cruise movie called Eyes Wide Shut, which is the one where they go into the Rothschild Manor, which was filmed at an actual Rothschild mansion. They do like this like orgy sacrifice, human sacrifice thing. So it's kind of like giving you insights of like what happens behind the scenes and what the elites are kind of.
I think they do that a lot through movies, like show us the truth, like in plain sight.
Because of something that I read about, it's called karmic consequence or something like that, where they have to fully disclose what they're into in order to do the thing, because then they won't.
It makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, because then it becomes like clean for them. It's like, it's not evil anymore if I tell the world. And so, but my point being is that after directing that movie, which was his final film, he died mysteriously like a few weeks after that. And then his movie got released with like 40 minutes cut out of it. So I feel like he did some shit where he was going to release it and then try his best to like make it, you know, sneaky. But then the studio heads are like, all right, then we're going to take it out. Or maybe he wanted to speak on the moon landing. Who knows? And say like, hey, like this is all fake. You like, we're all in the firmament, just like in The Simpsons. Do you watch The Simpsons? Like,
I watch a little bit, yeah.
A little bit. Do you believe in that conspiracy that they predict everything?
I've seen it so many times. They predicted it's. I mean, you can't say it's. You can't. You can say it's like a coincidence.
Yeah, but
You
it's not
can't say-
far-fetched.
Bro, it's so
Yeah.
many things. Did you see the one about it's like circulating a lot now, but it's like from 2010 predicting the whole like virus thing?
No, I didn't see that.
Basically saying it's like a bunch of like elites, I guess, in like table, and then like NBC is there, like the
I did see
media is
that,
there,
yeah.
and then they're basically like planning this virus,
Yeah.
and they're gonna like release it on purpose and then sell us the cure.
Right.
And pretty much like kind of like how it happened in the last like 3 years with COVID and shit.
Which is exactly how it happened. I don't know how many people know this, but Bill Gates, Big Daddy Gates, he did a meeting with himself, a few entrepreneurs.
Event 201?
Yes.
Yeah.
Event 201. And recently he did another event. I think it's Event 201. I don't know. But talking about a future virus, a future event, and how they can better prepare for it. Very similar to what they did before COVID hit. And so like it makes you think, like if they did that right before, a few months before COVID hit.
Yeah, I think it was first case of COVID was December, right? Or like late November. And I think this event took place like September. So like 2 months, they're like, so guys, let's plan. It's like a bunch of like just the like elite people, like media people there. And they're like,
Hypothetically.
guys, hypothetically, if this virus that like were to struck like the whole planet, like how would we handle it? Like, it's crazy.
And then it just happens right after. And so what's scary to me is that they did another one of those meetings talking about a more severe case of like a more contagious one. And how would they plan it? And so now I'm just like chilling back and just watching this movie and just seeing how it's all going to go to hell eventually.
Shit.
And like what's going to happen. I think that the next big thing is probably going to be like Project Bluebeam. I don't know if you ever heard of that.
Heard of it, but I don't know what it is.
So Project Bluebeam is this 4-phase, like 4-step program that's going to eventually take place, or people believe that it's going to happen, where the government is going to start simulating weird things, like weird occurrences in the sky, aliens, like create this foreign threat that's going to make everybody kind of like bond together under this like new world order, this like one world government, in order to be protected from this like enemy invasion, this like outer space, this like bigger than life and stuff. So all the countries are going to have to band together and create this one world government, and that's going to like make everybody just accept it essentially. And then how they're going to do it, though, is interesting. They're going to cast holograms from satellites that are circulating the planet. These satellites are going to create holograms of every religion's Messiah. And then this religion's Messiah, be it Jesus, be it Allah, be it Buddha, whoever it is gonna appear in the sky, this perfect lifelike hologram, and that being is going to communicate telepathically using low frequency radio waves to each person that's like looking up and be like, oh, it's the second coming of Christ. Oh my God, it's happening. And then this being won't speak, but you'll hear the message through just low frequency waves that'll be communicated to you. And the crazy thing is that every Messiah is going to say that every religion was wrong. And that the fact that there are so many religions is what's keeping us back and holding us back as as a species. And then they're going to say that the solution to this is just by creating one religion. And that's when the one religion comes into place. And then we're going to worship the same being that the elites worship, which is probably like Baal or Satan. Yeah, Baal, Satan.
It sounds good when
Beelzebub.
you say like a one world government when we all come together and unity. Yeah, that's how they always make it sound like it's going to be great.
Yeah,
but they have other intentions for us.
They definitely have other intentions. It's just easier to control a group of people that's unified. Well, actually, that's not the case. It's easier to control people who are divided, actually. So like that's why the U.S. has like Democrats and Republicans, red, blue states, It's just easier to like pin people against each other, and then it's easier to just manipulate them, I guess.
Yeah, but I guess once you have everybody in, like, if they have total control of the whole world at once, like, it could be a lot easier to control too. Because,
implement rules.
Yeah, because they're going all in on this. I mean, I feel like this is already in the works. Like, I don't think this is like a crazy like conspiracy theory at all. Like, the WEF, the World Economic Forum.
World Economic Forum. Yep.
Like. Klaus Schwab,
yeah.
The evil supervillain,
Evil
bald.
neo-Nazi guy. Yeah, that
He
guy's
talks
crazy.
about it. He talks about it openly in his book
Yeah.
that he wants to like they want to go all in on this ESG thing, like basically control your every movement, control your wallet, restrain. Like they want to know like where you are at all times, what you can spend your money on, everything.
Yes.
That's scary.
And it's just a matter of time before they start implementing like social credit scores. So I don't know if you've ever watched the what the fuck is it called? It's called Black Mirror.
Mm-hmm.
But there was this one episode where like your social credit score determines what you have access to within society.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I watched all the episodes, but I'm like blanking out on right now. Which is that the one with they're like rating each other on the phones that's the one. Okay, that's a good episode.
And then everybody like pretends to be nice to each other. It's
so
like,
fake.
oh, like give me 5 stars, and then if you get like 2 stars, and then it's like asking why, like what happened, like why did you rate me so low? And so like that will determine your access of like certain perks and like certain abilities to do certain things. So maybe you want a certain brand of milk that's better for you, but Gabe, you've been kind of a
Naughty.
bad boy. Yeah. You haven't gotten your 8th booster vaccine. You haven't been voting for the right candidate. You've been too vocal about conspiracies, Callie. And so you're going to have to get the shitty brand.
What did you say about the government?
Yeah. It's like, do you recall that episode when you said this and this? And so like everything's going to be like just there. And one thing actually that ties in perfectly is another thing that I read. I don't know if you saw, but Amazon is starting their palm scanning thing where you can scan your palm and pay for stuff at their Whole Foods stores. And like that to me is super scary.
That's already some Black Mirror shit, bro.
That is some they're getting your palm, the palm of your hand, scanning it, and they own that biometric data now. And so like who's to know if they're selling it to other companies, if they're going to use it for something else? And we all know that a lot of these big tech companies are subsidized by the government. And so the government, the best way that they can test certain concepts and certain technologies is through big pharma, big tech, and big military. So it's like Amazon is the biggest one. So it's like, let's pretend that it's convenience. And it's always packaged as convenience, which is what's mind-blowing.
Every time.
Yeah.
It's going to be way easier. You just look. You don't even need to hold your phone. You don't need your wallet. You just scan your hand and it's paid for. Like, it's going to be so easy.
Hey, Jerry, don't you hate it when you always forget? You always forget your wallet, don't you, Jerry?
Knucklehead.
And then like, you knucklehead. And then Jerry's like, yeah, I guess I do forget my wallet a
Chip
lot.
me.
Yeah, chip me. Yeah, it's so much easier. And it's funny because one of the news outlets was like recording people doing it, and then one guy just looked like high out of his mind, just like in another dimension, wearing a mask and stuff. And then he was just like talking to the camera like, yeah, now it's just easier because I don't even have to bring my wallet. So it's like
He's like doped up.
Probably on his 4th booster already and stuff, and just probably has like a 3rd eye growing or like a 2nd arm or some shit.
That's exactly how they want everybody. They want everybody behaving like NPCs
in line
with the little Oculus. Stay at home.
Yeah.
Don't try to like do anything different. Just stay at home.
Yeah.
Consume some drugs and maybe collect some money from the government.
Yeah.
That's what they want.
And live your life inside of the computer.
Oh yeah, because like that they contract you become a better customer to them like that, because they can sell way better to you like that if they know exactly what you're into, like what you do in every hour of your day, what you're searching up.
Yeah, and it's funny because Klaus Schwab or whatever his name is, he said that you will own nothing and you will be happy.
That's the scariest fucking video I've ever watched, dude.
And
I can't believe
they
say that and they mean it. Like, how did they think whoever's like, they thought like that was gonna be a good idea. They're gonna tell people like, listen, you're not gonna own anything. We're gonna own anything. We're gonna you're gonna pay rent to us for literally everything. Your house, your car. We could just take it away or shut it down whenever we want.
It gives me anxiety.
And some people are just like, oh no, that's not happening. Like, dude, they're telling you like this is not a conspiracy. This is happening right now. They're working towards it.
And if you can't realize what's going on, then you're the perfect audience for them, because like they want people like that.
So it worked on you.
Yeah. It's
the
like
whole conditioning worked.
The government wants the best for me. Like that's obviously what they want. That's
when
why
has
they're
that
the
ever
government.
been the case? Like throughout all of human history, like the biggest like oppressors and
thieves, IRS,
thieves,
gangs
and
of just fucking
mass murderers, right? Have always been higher power like government. Did you see the I mean, this might take, I don't know if this is going to take a long conversation, but did you see the whole Damar Hamlin situation?
Damar Hamlin?
Damar Hamlin, the football player?
The one that appeared at the game doing like signals or something, like signs or something like that?
Yeah, so he got hurt during a game. Like he had like a cardiac arrest.
Oh, yes. I did hear about that guy. Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of people are saying it's like the vaccine.
Yeah.
Now like a day later, I don't know if it was a day later or two, like he was like real bad, supposed to be like in the hospital. But then like they show him at the game and like his face completely covered. You can't tell it's him. So like,
and it's a lighter skin tone too, I saw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just know that like, I don't know if it's him or not. Like I don't even know the guy.
Yeah.
Can't really tell, but it's just suspicious that like he's like, why is he going so out of his way to like hide his face? And he's supposed to be like real hurt, so he's not supposed to be like waving his arms around like that supposedly. And supposedly like the doctor said that he's like he needs like oxygen, and he was there with
Covering
nothing, just
shit.
walking around, and he's just like completely covered. It's just weird.
Have you seen all of the NFL players like when it happened crying? There are multiple shots of like cameras showing these players crying and a lot of people are saying that it's really bad acting because it doesn't seem genuine and it doesn't look real. So who's to say that maybe they're using the NFL as like a vehicle to like promote a certain agenda, or I don't know like what they're trying to do, but it's like, it was super interesting watching because I didn't see the game where it happened, but then I saw like clips of it on Twitter, and every NFL player is just like forcingly crying and just like creating this like theatrical expression, be like, oh my God, or whatever the fuck. And I just found that interesting. And then people were saying that he's the one that went on Alex Jones' podcast pretending to be Kanye.
With a mask?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Because he was completely masked. And then like people are like, what if this is the guy, you know?
Wasn't that before?
Yeah, that was before, which I don't know if that makes sense, but like people like to draw
Craziest
comparisons
conclusions.
Yeah.
I didn't watch the game either, but I saw just like the incident.
Yeah.
And then I know that like I also like this is like I'm convinced that it was scripted. The first game back that the Bills played, they scored this like I'm not like a football guy, so I don't know if it's like how rare it is. But like it's like just this play where like he gets the ball in his own field and he just runs across and scores. But it literally looks like the other team was like letting him go.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
I didn't see that one, no. But I've seen cases where like cancer patients, like that's what happens to like people who like have terminal cancers, that everybody just pretends to tackle and shit.
That's what it felt like.
That's crazy.
Like two of those guys, like he's like going towards the finish to the end zone or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they just kind of like slow down and let him have it.
Yeah. Speaking of weird reappearances of people, have you seen Kanye, who like recently popped up again? I don't know if you saw him.
I think I saw a picture. I don't know if it's fake, but he was wearing like a Germany jersey.
Yes.
Of course he was.
So Kanye popped up recently with his new wife. I think they got married in like secret. People are saying that his new wife is his new handler. And he took her to shop at Balenciaga after the whole Balenciaga scandal happened of them abusing children, apparently, of taking those weird pictures with bondage. And he obviously had a fallout with Balenciaga after his like Nazi statements and shit. So he just took her to shop at Balenciaga, which is a sign that maybe he's been reprogrammed to like now he has to tidy everything up and correct all of his mistakes. And then wearing the Nazi Germany era military emblem on his chest.
Or it's a body double. It's not even him at all.
People are saying that he's taller than the normal Kanye is. And that all of a sudden he's like taller. His like speech pattern isn't quite Kanye's speech pattern, that he's basically just regurgitating things that Kanye has said in the past and just pretending to like be a good clone. And so like that leads me to ask, like, do you believe in cloning? Like, do you think it's real?
Bro, I find it hard to believe that like we're so advanced in technology. Like I doubt that they're not at least like trying, because I know that they're trying to clone like cattle and stuff like that, right?
They've successfully cloned sheep.
So like how could, it's like it'd be stupid of us to think that they're not trying this stuff, especially in like other countries or like just FBI or CIA low key like Russia, experimenting.
North Korea maybe or some shit like that. I don't know. But
I wouldn't doubt it.
I think that cloning is a real thing. And I feel like they always swapped them out, and because he went missing for a while, and then his like old business partners were trying to sue him, and they couldn't get a hold of him. They couldn't track him down. And for a lawyer to not be able to track you down, like that's pretty good hiding, you know. But
Word.
oh, excuse me. But yeah, I just found that interesting how he came back with his new wife, who always has this like stone face on her, like she's like just like zoned out, and people said that his eyes were like dead, you know, like there's like no life in those eyes. And I don't know, like I think maybe they got Kanye and now they're putting out his clone and they're making him just correct everything he did wrong, you know.
Shady shit, bro. I
Shady.
don't not like I said, I don't not believe in any of this stuff.
Yeah, Hollywood weird, man. I just hope that you never go to Hollywood or be a part of Hollyweird.
No, I wouldn't.
Stay independent, you know, and don't sell your soul if you ever get discovered by like, you know, like big names and they want to take you in and make you the new Jim Carrey, you know, like
Yeah.
like don't turn into a Jim Carrey because that fucked him up in his head too.
Jim Carrey's tried to expose
He's tried.
some kind of shit like numerous times, right? Like,
Yeah.
live on like a late night show. I forgot who, if it was like Jimmy Kimmel.
Jimmy Kimmel trying to do the thing
Uh-huh.
with his tongue out. Yeah. And we actually discussed that on the last podcast, and how the audience, right? Like speaking of laugh tracks, because like we were talking about like favorite shows before this and how the Friends uses laugh tracks and how The Office doesn't, and how The Office is superior because for obvious reasons. But they added laugh tracks to that interview because everybody in the audience was just like,
Yeah, everybody was
nervous.
stunned. I heard that. That's right. When he did when he was
Yeah.
doing this, everybody was kind of shocked, and they just added that to like kind of break the silence a little bit.
to ridicule him and to discredit anything he does.
He's a nut job, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what they always do is that they assassinate your character first, and then if you persist, then they take you out for real. And I feel like that's what they did with Andrew Tate too. And I'm not saying that I support the man, but I'm just saying that if you're too outspoken sometimes, like they're gonna assassinate your character, and if you keep doing it, they're gonna tuck you away and make you disappear. You know?
Yeah, like Andrew Tate's interesting, bro, because like he was getting like all this hate from like
Feminists.
everybody. Yeah, mostly feminists.
Yeah.
But like most of the guys that I know, like I mean, you see a video of him like talking, like has he ever said anything that's like they label him like misogynistic or whatever? But he's pretty much like every video I've seen of him, he's pretty much like teaching like, you know, to be
Men.
responsible for yourself, you know, to
Yeah.
take care of your girl. He does like a lot of stuff like boasting and like brag about cars. I don't like none of that stuff.
Yeah.
But like as far as like his messages, like to young men, those are great messages. I don't see anything wrong with that at all.
Yeah. I think that people nitpick at like certain parts in like interviews where he but I feel like he's playing into a character. So a lot of times he's like, I walk into a place, I demand 2 coffees or whatever.
Yeah.
And if the bitch doesn't give me 2 coffees, I smack the bitch or whatever. So like he's done that a lot. And apparently there is a video circulating, an old video of him beating his girlfriend or beating one of his old girlfriends. A lot of them have come out alleging that he raped them and that he's into. And there are like audio recordings of him basically saying like the next day saying, I know you liked it or whatever and stuff. So like, and then you kind of have to also like look at both sides. Cause I'm not saying that every girl likes that type of shit, but a lot of times girls tend to gravitate towards guys that, you know, because of money, status or status, just like he says. Status. And then, you know, things happen. And then after everybody does this like Me Too movement, then that's when they come out because they want more clout maybe. But I'm not judging, you know, like I don't know the full extent.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. But I do get what you're saying about him, like helping young men kind of secure their masculinity. I feel like that's what he does too.
And he's like really anti-woke too, which I'm into all that.
Yeah, me too.
But when I found out like what he did for like to get money, I like lost like all of the respect. Supposedly he like kind of like runs these like cam girls and basically like dupes dudes into like sending them money, promising them that they're gonna meet up with them.
Yeah.
And then they just keep like, oh, send me more money, I need to get my passport.
Right.
And I guess he must be like really good at that, so like they go to him and like split the money 50-50.
So it's basically like he's
like scamming people. That's fucked up.
OnlyFans manager. Essentially, like that's what his business is. I don't know if you've ever seen the Vice mini documentary that they put out on YouTube on Andrew Tate. it's very like it's worth watching, but also keeping in mind that Vice has become this like ultra
Oh
leftist
yeah.
agenda institution, so it's not good to take everything at face value. But they did get insights into like his whole operations and like what he does, and he has this like group of men who pay like $5,000 to be a part of this like elite exclusive group, and then these men are usually men who are like middle-aged 25, 24-year-olds, like early 20s, middle-aged people who feel like they need more in life and they just need to be more masculine and just like reassert themselves as men. And so they buy into this program, and then they go to these like meetings where Andrew Tate is standing in the front, and he's like this like leader figure, this like messiah figure. And what's interesting to me is that his right-hand man is a notorious hypnosis or hypnotist. So he's a guy that his whole profession is to hypnotize people. And so they do a lot of like hypnotism, a lot of programming, a lot of cult-like activities that make all these men kind of just fall in line and just worship essentially Andrew Tate. And then
Could be playing 4D chess this whole time and like played me.
and he's a master chess player, or his dad was.
Yeah,
and so,
that's
like,
right.
he grew up, like with his dad teaching, and he has stated before that he wants to create his own Freemason organization, and that this is what it is that he wants to create his own. And so it's essentially like a pyramid scheme too, but it's just interesting. And then he kind of forces these members to kind of like box each other and beat each other up, because like he feels like doing the whole Fight Club strategy where you have to fight to like become a man or whatever. And then he puts them like on live Romanian television in like an actual octagon and makes them like like these people that have no training, like they just box each other up and just fuck each other up. Just to toughen up. But it's also to do what the master says, essentially. So with all that, into consideration, I think that my jury is still out on Andrew Tate. I don't think I have like a firm opinion yet, but I have to like do more research and like understand like where he's coming from,
Yeah, it's just weird because like today, bro, like we can't like just form an opinion on somebody. Sorry.
No, it's good.
Without like all this pressure, like somebody says something that like you disagree with, automatically like you have to, this person is a bad person, you can't let him speak, you have to deplatform him. I mean, obviously if all that shit's true, then like
then that's a good reason.
That's a good reason. But I mean, we don't know anything. It could be like, like you said, Vice or whatever, like they could be making shit up. It could be the Matrix just after him.
It could be, yeah.
Who's to know? Because I do know that there's a lot of people out there that's interested in not having like these popular like figures send out like positive messages that are going to resonate with like especially young men. They want, like I said, they want you to be an NPC, follow orders, stay hooked up to the VR.
Be a male feminist, take hormone blockers, give hormone blockers to your kids.
Yeah.
Tell them to become transgender, tell them to become openly. They
try to do it with Rogan. They try to do it with Jordan Peterson. And I mean, and so look, like that's the thing. Like, look at the company that they're kind of like doing the same thing that they did to Jordan Peterson and to Joe Rogan, try to cancel him. The moment that they started trying to do that to what's his name? Tate,
yeah. Andrew Tate, yeah.
That's when everybody's like, whoa, hold on, why? Because they're trying to cancel these people who are like sending positive messages. Yeah. So the moment that like I see that they're trying to like cancel Andrew Tate, that's when I'm like, hold on, why are they doing that?
Yeah, like what's the
so
reason?
That's why I kind of like took his side. But yeah, dude, like we don't know these people like personally, like but all I'm asking is for people to like let people speak and like not cancel them.
Open dialogue should be like a given, like it's a human right.
Exactly. Like nobody's perfect. Like if you were to we've all lied, we've all done crappy shit. Like imagine if there's like a camera following you around like your whole life.
Or if you have like over almost 2,000 episodes of like hour-long podcasts, just like Joe Rogan has, like you're bound to slip up. Yeah.
You're drinking, you're smoking. It doesn't make you a bad person. For like the bad things that you've done does not define you. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
And in today's world, it's like you can't have one slip up automatically. You're like, boom,
canceled
like put
forever.
Yourself in those people's positions. Like we're not out in the public eye like that,
Yeah. All the time.
But it must be really hard, like, to be like famous and like one little slip and then you gotta like go out and apologize.
You're
and
fucked.
Fuck that, bro.
Yeah.
Like, give people like a chance. Like, relax. Don't judge to rush them. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah. And if you take into account, like, I personally think that Joe Rogan became more contained and more tidy after his Spotify deal,
Yeah, he did for sure.
because now, like, I don't feel like he's as like ambitious as like in his ideas. Like, I'll catch him a lot of times talking to a guest, and then he just signals and says, "We're not going to get into that," you know?
Yeah, you noticed
He's
that?
scared, yeah.
Oh shit, I didn't see that. I mean, it could be because he doesn't want to upset the guys at Spotify.
Right, because of his big deals. So
Mhm.
like $100 million plus, like, that's a lot of money. So like that's enough to buy your obedience and your freedom, apparently, even for Joe Rogan.
Yeah, I've seen him like I guess like I've never seen him like give any signals to his guests like that, like you said, like to like, oh, let's not go there.
Yeah, just like subtly, you know. It's like, yeah.
But I've seen him definitely like slow down certain topics he used to bring up, or like go against. Like he doesn't anymore. He's more like
Chilled out, because like he has no more reason to be, because I feel like what made him super palatable and just super famous and resonate with so many people, including myself, was just that he wasn't scared. It's just anything he would think of, he's like, oh, like, I don't think the earth is flat. And then he would have like a person who believed that, and then he would have open dialogue, open discussions, confront people on like their beliefs, and then also openly change his own and evolve as a podcaster, as a human being on camera. And so like he teaches people that like, oh, like, you shouldn't be married to an idea, and that's his whole thing. But then once he got the Spotify money, I was like, like, I could tell that this guy's being like a square now. Like, he's like being very tidy, very careful around the edges. And then Jordan Peterson, he's apparently going to get his license revoked.
Did you see that?
Yeah, by Canada, because the institution is saying that he's using his degree to kind of like mislead people and like mislead the youth, essentially.
They told him unless he
like redoes everything.
Yeah,
right?
retrains how to responsibly handle social media.
Yeah.
That so he has to like go through this course, and then they have to reevaluate him afterwards. Like, okay, like, you're good to go, or nope, you're not good to go. You're gonna have to retake it, or we're gonna take your license away.
That's scary.
So he said no to that, right? What did he say?
Yeah.
So he's just like, take my license. I don't give a fuck.
To the hell with that lobsters, or whatever he says. The lobsters are trying to come after me.
Ridiculous.
But I will not let them. Whatever. Yeah. He's one of the like main self-help people that really helped me out of like a deep hole, because like him, I feel like I could stand behind, because I don't feel like he has any like people in his basement or.
Such a great man, bro. Honestly,
Yeah,
like, I don't know the guy, but just like from what I've seen on his books, like,
yeah, he's genuine as fuck.
I listen to his audiobooks, and just the messages that he puts out there is like so important. Like, he brings up things like you never even thought about, and then once you hear it, it's like, holy fuck, this is like real.
And going full circle back to the whole like Bible talk, have you ever seen his like Bible cases, like where he dissects like elements of the Bible? It's one of the most mind-blowing things I've ever heard. Like, at the height of COVID, I like went down like this super deep rabbit hole on just consuming all that, and it's like super small things that he just expands and just says like, so what if the snake of Garden of Eden was actually this and this, and then you're like, what the fuck, dude? This guy just blew my mind, and he makes it practical. Like, he like breaks everything down to like this like human nature level, which I love, because everything to me is just human nature. It's
basically everything comes down to that. Yeah,
it's just basic human nature. It's just like how you react to stuff and like what you believe in. But yeah, I feel like we talked a lot on this episode already, as is. I think that we will do a follow-up episode too. I will also like, I think that it's important to like gather topic recommendations, like if we're going to do like a follow-up episode. So like people who consumed this episode and they enjoyed our conversation and like our dynamic, then I'll announce it next time, and then ask people if they have any input or any questions basing off of this episode, basing off of this episode. So I used to do that for the first episode with a guest, but then I found that it doesn't make sense, because it's just like a lot of the episode is just us like getting to know each other and just talking. But then for the next episodes, like we'll like do that, and then like get like topic recommendations, questions that people may have for you basing off of what you just said, and I think that would be, like the best way to do it. Do you have anything else that you want to like plug in maybe?
Not really. You guys can follow me on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Gabe Correa, GABE 4YA.
Yep.
I made a YouTube channel too. I put basically compiled all like the prank videos that I did on the Uber pranks,
Which
all
I
into
highly
one.
recommend watching.
I put them all into one video on YouTube. So that's GABE 4YAYT.
Yeah. And all this information is going to be in the description. So if you're listening to this on a podcast app or platform, you can find this in the description of the episode. If you're watching this on YouTube, it's in the description right below the video. And I always end every episode with every guest. I don't know if you know this, but at the end of every episode, I ask the guest to imagine that for a brief second, the whole world right now, no pressure, but the whole world right now stopped what they're doing. They're all handed this like earpiece where it's going to translate perfectly into their language and into their culture. They're going to understand perfectly what you're about to say. But you have this opportunity now staring into that camera to say a message. It could be a word. It could be a question. It could be anything you want to say right now. If you had the chance to speak to all of humanity, like what would you tell them?
Off the cuff like this, bro? I don't know.
Just instinctively, like don't like overthink it. Just like if you had it right now, like it's just happening. Like that's it.
I think based on what we were talking about, that's the first thing that came to my mind. So I guess I would just restate, like, stop rushing to judge people, especially like these people that we don't even know online. Like this whole cancel culture to me, like that's one of the most scariest things. Like we need to let people speak and voice their opinions. You don't have to agree with them, but you need to let them speak. So I guess I would just say stop like canceling people.
Yeah.
Let people speak. Yeah, that's it.
Just open dialogue, open discourse.
It's the most important thing we could have is discussions, right?
Yeah, and just balance. Just like have balance and be open-minded to everybody. But at the same time, don't let those people dictate who you are and what you do in this world. With that being said, guys, thank you again for listening. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me, bro.
Thanks for being a part of this. Hopefully we'll look back at this when it's episode 300 and something, and we'll be like, oh shit, like that was episode 33. Back then we were still very young.
I'm gonna be like, this is so cringe, this episode. Like this is my first time like speaking like on a mic and stuff.
You did
like,
great, by the way.
I'm like really nervous. I feel like I was just getting warmed up, and then like but I'm looking forward to coming back and then like actually have like better conversations.
No.
Better than we did today.
You did great. Promise. Like I promise you that, because a lot of people too, like listening and watching, it's very easy for people who haven't done it before saying like, oh, like this person did this and like they should do this. But once you're in the hot seat and you have everything mic'd up and you're listening to your voice, it's completely different. And
thinking like 10 things at once while you're talking.
And then trying to communicate all that. Yeah. So it's
not as easy as you think, folks.
Exactly. And then also take into account the fact that I kind of do this for a living now. So like it's just practice too. Like even at the beginning in some episodes, just like I told you, there are episodes where I cringe. Like I edit every episode, so I listen and see myself like back and like listen to myself, and I cringe every time, no matter how well people think I spoke or whatever. It's just always cringy. So like that's the ego again. Yeah.
I want to congratulate you, by the way, bro. Like I feel like you're made for this. For like even your voice and everything, it just sounds so smooth on the mic.
It's a radio voice.
And you hustling out here, and you're doing real good, bro. You're doing important stuff.
I can't accept compliments for shit, and I've said that before, but thank you so much, because I feel like that's also like a personal baggage. Like growing up, I never got the acceptance of my dad and stuff, and I don't want to get too deep, but thank you.
Anyways,
I appreciate it. Anyways, thank you so much for that compliment. Like just like basically saying like, oh, and also I didn't have a dad. So that's how we're gonna close out this episode, with a very depressing comment, paired with a very great compliment, which I appreciate. And I hope you continue doing everything you're doing, and just don't give up, and just keep pushing forward, because it's bound to work, because it's you. Like that's you doing your thing, and it shows.
Yes, sir.
All right. So
see you guys next time.
Thanks again, guys. Don't forget that it's never wrong to be mentally gone, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.